Good morning,
Over to you,
everybody. It is
Max.
great to be here. Thank you so much. And Zena's absolutely right. We met, and I think we just certainly there was a spark of an idea. I think when we met that there was going to be some great conversations. So it is an absolute pleasure to be with you this morning, and I'm excited to share an idea. There you are. Because our business is very much built around space for ideas, and we love that. We're very creative and business, so it's good to be here. So here's an idea for you. Okay, this is what we're going to share. So it's, as I say, great to be here. Today is not about me. It is about an idea. I just wanted to offer a little bit of context as to maybe what led me to this place, because I did maybe have a bit of that light bulb moment. It happened. For me, it happened a little bit later in life, and I'd had a bit of a journey to get me there, to be fair. And my background, I actually started my career with a bit of a crazy idea, to be honest. I actually thought it would be really nice and the best job in the world to walk around a hotel and ask people if they were happy and get paid for it. That was the idea. That was it. But like anything, I was young, I had to learn. And I soon learned that maybe I should actually learn some things about that. So I studied hotel management and ended up, I was in that hospitality job, and I did do that. There was a day I had a smile on my face when I genuinely was in a hotel management role and did walk round and check people were happy. Thought I'd made it. It was amazing. So that was where I started. But things evolve, don't they? If we've got that kind of mindset and we love ideas, don't we just love to keep that rolling? So I moved along in my career. I was a recruitment consultant. Then I worked in a radio station where I was selling the advertising for the station, and then moved into what was a real pivotal job. I became the marketing manager in an accounting firm and was there for about 20 years. So that's where I kind of spent then most of my career. And it was whilst in that job that I had an idea that I just was compelled to bring to life. And then since having my own business, we have undertaken that innovation, and I've also become a part-time lecturer at local university, which has been amazing. But I also have two amazing children. I should have put this at the top, really. Two amazing children, and I love singing. So there you go. So that's just a bit about, about me and kind of bit of background, and there you are. So it's been a great journey to where I am. But if I look through all of those kind of times in my career, the different roles and different jobs, there were some
Sì, sì.
very
For
much
the help, let's say location box.
common
Okay.
threads. Okay, have you got me back on the thing? Perfect, lovely. Was that coming through okay before? I hadn't. Yeah, perfect. So on all those roles that I had, there were those common threads. And if I look back across the different jobs and environments, they were very much people. I said from the beginning, I had this desire to just check everyone was happy. So it was always very people for me. But I seem as though in all the very different jobs, there was this thing about connecting, whether it was recruitment, I was putting candidates with employers, and I always felt there was a connecting, a joining thing going on. Very interested in results. I was very motivated by seeing what that result looked like, not necessarily always a pound in the till. It wasn't always a sale necessarily. Results can mean different things. It was always around motivation and communication. And I felt a lot of the time, certainly in the accounting firm, it was also to kind of motivate and encourage others. It wasn't just myself. I think this whole thing about this joining of people thing was sort of in me. And it was, I say, whilst in that job at the accounting firm that I had an idea. So just on that note of when I worked at the firm, this is a really interesting subject. and one that will spark, I'm sure, much conversation. The whole crikey, accountants and marketing, are they in the same part of business? Where do you start marketing in accounting? This is going back in 1998, before many of the social media platforms we have, and I was in that firm with the role of being the marketing manager. Great. Where do you start with this? What does that job look like? And I went into a business where there was a lot of people, very skilled, charging their time, that said, we're accountants, we're not marketers, not what we do. And then there was one of me in a firm of 80. It was a challenge. It really was, because unknown for me, unknown for them. So we had a, it was an certainly interesting challenge, but one that I loved. The amount of great stuff that came out of that. So it just goes to show us, I think, if anything, there's a real lovely lesson in all of that, which is it's good to take a challenge. It's good to try and put your foot into unknown territories at times, because isn't that a great way that we get ideas? You guys are also the experts and innovators as well, and we all get ideas, don't we, from different things. But when we start uncovering and pulling back the layers, so when I look at that time, what really happened there was it was about embedding a culture. So, it was, what was marketing going to look like in that firm, and how are they going to perceive it? And how was this going to be? Because actually, on the subject of value, they charged their time. I didn't. So in a business where everyone is seeing there as they're the ones kind of, if you go revenue for a moment, and then I rock up and go, hey, great, let's do some PR, let's do these things. They're all like, whoa, this isn't revenue generating. Actually, this completely turned around. And this is part of then what led me to the idea, which I'll begin to share with you. But it's really nice to know where things were born from and why. And we do believe that starting with the why is really important. And so what happened over 20 years was we embedded a culture. I say we, because I'll always say we, because I think we were a team. It wasn't me. It was a team. Through different initiatives, we brought about change. We engineered change. I don't know if we could look back and go, it happened on this day at this time, but it evolved. And actually what happened was we sold the concept internally. And I saw that as a massive part of my job, because a lot of challenges are internal. So I felt what really needed to happen was the positioning of marketing needed to happen. It needed to happen from within. So I needed that buy-in from the team. I needed for them to see. So I think whether it's accounting, I understand, we've probably got some people on the call today who are working in engineering, in tech, in these other environments. This whole 20 years in this firm taught me so much around the alignment with every part of a business. Let's get rid of silos and departments. We're all building and growing and being part of the same thing. So it's really important to have that. And when I actually did leave and start my own business, I do remember one of the partners just said to me, yeah, but that was different. You were different. And I just thought that was quite an interesting way to describe 20 years, but it was great. So, a lot was learned in that time. And I haven't spoken too much about emails and marketing and emails, marketing, social media, websites that you might think, because our heads go to marketing, but this is where I'm coming to, because it's about having an idea to reposition that. Maybe go as bold as to say redefine, but let's go reposition for the moment and see what you think. But that background was great and taught me a lot. So on that vein, let's go, well, what is it? Good question. Because actually, let's go, what is marketing anyway? It's a word we band around, a word we use, a word we describe so many things as. But is it an email, a website? Is it social media? Is it something you don't do? And I do have to laugh at that, and you'll see why. Is it something that someone said they tried once and never again? Or is it something you do on a Thursday at 2 when you've got an hour? What is it? worth asking. I mean, I don't mind if anyone wants to put in the chat what they think. Honestly, please feel free to share your thoughts as we go along. But you know what? We've really got to ask the question, because we use the word so much to describe so many different things. You know, an apple is an apple, it's not a banana. They're all fruit, but you know, we've got varieties. So I think we've got to look at the varieties of opportunities and things that exist within marketing. But if we had to describe it, what is it? So this is where this idea was born from. So I'm starting to weave together, you'll see, what led me to where I am. And so I said, is it any of those? Or could it maybe be, could it possibly be a powerful and vital business process? Is it maybe a way that you could transport your knowledge and expertise? Here's an idea. You know what? It could be an interlocking set of business outcomes, couldn't it? Really, could be. Possibly a vehicle for the development of your people, and just maybe a connector to other processes. Now, if I go back to that slide and go, is marketing any of these? Or is an email actually an email and a website clearly a website? I mean, let's put it out there. It's just a use of language, that's all. Or more likely, it's going to be these, all of them. It really is. Because if it's just about, this is why I said, here's an idea. It's an idea, but completely down to each individual, isn't it? It's about how we think, which is so personal, isn't it? And we're only using what we've had in our experience and etc., etc. But when we get new ideas presented to us, hopefully it sparks something, doesn't it? And it's very individual. But maybe one of these resonates more than the other with you. But again, it's repositioning it as that, because surely it is. Because surely isn't a Facebook post a Facebook post? It's not necessarily marketing, but it's part of. So it's the positioning and the language that we use around it. So let's take that idea and see it as something different. Yeah, it 100% is all of those. Absolutely. And more. You might go, crikey, how can it be more than that? But it really is. It's a powerhouse if you let it. That's the thing. If you let it loose, take the reins off it, and let's not position it as a little thing down the corridor that someone does a little bit of here and there. Let's rethink this and position it as a process, and then people will deliver on it. So we've got to see it though, haven't we? Because you might go, Mags, what are you talking about? I still can't, what do I need? I need to see it. Surely I need to see it. So yeah, okay, we need to be able to see that. We need to understand what it looks like, literally. So could you draw it? It's almost like that kind of visual. We need to be able to know within that then what's going to make that. So if you look at it like this, and your ideas, people, so I think this is great that we're all here today. That's brilliant. But it's like making a machine. If we've got engineers and technical people on the call today, you'll appreciate, you'll know. You've got to design and build a machine, haven't you? You've got to fuel it. It's got to turn. It's got to move. It's got to do something. So we need to be able to design and build it, draw it. We've got to fuel it, fuel that engine so that it can be doing something. And it's knowledge. It is actually knowledge that is the fuel to marketing, 100%. And we've got to be able to share that visible machine with our team. And if I look back at that time in the accounting firm, I didn't know at the time I had this idea. I knew there was something, and it took a bit of figuring out. But I did. I moved around the departments. I took knowledge. I shared with the team. We communicated internally. That was the real kind of meaty bit of it, not necessarily what I just put out. It started within. So sharing with the team and involving a team is so good. And it then actually allows ideas to come to life. Because what we've done is we've repositioned it, thought of it differently, and seen it as a space for something to happen, but a solid structural space, something that's supporting us. So that's what I mean about that visibility. So it's like, what is that blueprint? What is that design? Before we build a car, surely we've got to have a design. Before we build anything, there's got to be, what is that drawing? The architect's drawing, what is that? So why can't we have one for marketing if it's a process? But if we think it's a website, we'll always think it's a website. If we think it is the more process thing, then we can think about it differently. So this is what I mean about ideas. That's what we're looking at. So what are those kind of building blocks, these bits of knowledge we're talking about? And the building blocks, and the biggest issue with marketing is probably buy-in. Because if we're sharing this as an idea for you today, it's great. You might go, oh, okay, like that. That's kind of you. One of the biggest jobs we have, and I had this, was getting the buy-in from others on that process so that everyone can get involved in that brilliant marketing machine. And believe it or not, actually, when I finished in the accounting firm after 20 odd years, everyone was in it. I don't know, it was amazing. It was great. But everyone was part of a team. We were part of a team around it. It was not something alien. Everyone was involved because they saw a space so they could do that. And the big thing was knowledge, because it's knowledge that you have. So people say, I can't possibly devise a marketing plan because I don't know marketing. So my question back would be, well, what is it you think you need to know to devise a helpful plan or position marketing effectively? Do you think you need to know how to code a website? Do you think you know what is it you think you need to know? And I think that's that fear, isn't it? Whereas actually, it's your knowledge, it's what you know that goes into it. That's what feeds it. It's your expertise, your innovation, your creativity, your vision, your stuff goes in there, not something different. So it's that confidence and clarity bit. So then if we've got great knowledge positioned properly, and then we're connecting our day-to-day activities with that knowledge. So basically what we are sort of, well, without sharing the actual thing, we're talking about a framework here, but we've got to have something that's going to hold people together and support them in their roles. So if we look at where we've come to, we've got, right, okay, so we've decided, yeah, marketing is that powerful process. Let's support it with knowledge. Let's be connected with our activities and our teams. And the biggest thing with the marketing process is if we are using this knowledge and these connecting activities, if they are all centered around business outcomes, it means we always start any piece of activity with why. You know from the outset why you're doing that. This is all process improvement, starting with the why, knowing why, having that purpose, time saving and efficiency. So it's ways to improve always. And then these things, because we've done that, we can feel more relaxed. Our shoulders can drop. We can grow in our confidence. And if we are growing confidence, resilience, and patience, because they are the key 3 skills in marketing, you can learn to do graphic design, you can learn to do these skills, but the 3 essential skills, without a shadow of a doubt, confidence, resilience, and patience, these are all part of the building blocks. You will 100% develop a fantastic marketing machine, whether you are or have marketing in your job title, or are you an engineer, are you another role in an organization? Everyone can be a part of this. So that's what's really exciting. But like I said at the beginning, it's an idea. You can think about it. When we talk about knowledge, there's 4 key areas with knowledge that prop up your marketing machine and your process. You, as in your business. So take Ideas UK, it starts there with Zena and Helen and their ideas and the vision and the purpose of what Ideas UK is all about. Then you're going to have the next pillar of knowledge, which is your choices around how you will then go to communicate your messages, whether it's a people, print or digital thing, but there's different choice. This is all about choice. We have confidence to make choices. You haven't got to do something because someone else told you you've got to. Let's move away from this thinking and power up our own organizations with that confidence piece around marketing and seeing it as that process. The other pillar of knowledge, people you'd love to work with that you don't. Those lovely people out there that don't yet know about the pleasures of working with Ideas UK. who are going to be coming on board and joining the party at some point. And who are they and where are they and what do they do on a Sunday? Do you know what I mean? How do you describe those people? Who's in that community? And then already the lovely people that are here today, already part of that and enjoying the experience. So there's these 4 key areas. But if we haven't got the right knowledge in these areas to start with, building an effective marketing process is tricky. Because then we get loose with our threads and we are just doing some activity, but it's not connected and joined up to the 4 main areas of knowledge that you need. So if you look at where we've come to, and this is a very, I know, short period of time, we're just together for half an hour or so today. So I'm whizzing you through a bit of an idea, and I'm asking you to have a think about this in a different way. But I hope one thing, at least one thing will resonate, and just even if it's just that spark of an idea to consider it, you know, differently. But these 4 knowledge pillars are super duper helpful to look at it in a different way. So if we've got, say, those 4 key areas, you might go, brilliant, great. Then what? What do we do with that if we start looking at it like that? Then it becomes, right, okay, so how do we share that knowledge? What are our goals? So if we said out of those 4 areas, let's just go back there. We might say, okay, so here's 4 areas that we can start to be able to see. If you could even draw that yourself, you could go, these are our 4 areas. What knowledge is in them? And do I have a goal for each of these? So I might create a goal for the first one, me. That's all about my business. That might be to do with creating. My goal is by December to have created my key value proposition that will position me effectively in the marketplace or something. That could be a goal, whatever that might be. So you may set goals in each of those. So then we come to this bit, go, right, got our clear goals, we've got our knowledge. Now, if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to actually carry out an activity, that now we're probably coming to the bit where most people go, oh, hang on a minute, this is marketing, the activity bit, the outbound bit. Yes and no. It is, but we're asking you to consider an idea that it's an internal process. And part of that process is to share the story, but it actually has to connect back to the business. So we're asking you to consider that idea that it is an internal business process. But their activities, so let's say I am going to send an email. The content of the email has got to stem from, surely, me, the business, driven by knowledge of what I want to achieve with that email and what I'd like the reader to do. So again, my activity has got to align to a business outcome. It's really important. So I'm starting with the why. And what I'm doing in every piece of activity that I do, I'm transporting knowledge somewhere. The likelihood is I'm going to be going to one of the other 3 areas of knowledge, taking that knowledge there. Then what? I'm actually going to use what I've learned through the activity to power my next step. Because before my very eyes, I can see the next outcome I could try and achieve. And by having this kind of level of clarity and this opening up of space so that we can see these kind of, if you could visualize, and I think this is why I'm loving today on here with you, because you're very, very ideas. I'm hoping that you can see in your mind. I'm asking you to kind of consider this. It's like asking someone to describe something on the radio, you know, when it's just voice. But it's imagining like clear tubes, and we're moving this knowledge through. It's this constant, lovely, healthy flow of top level knowledge to get the best results. And we want that. We don't want any blockages anywhere, which happens when we don't have that knowledge and clear communication. We go back to a lot of then internal challenges and problems. Let's say, although I don't like that word. So we've got to keep this healthy movement, and that's what makes a difference. So it really does matter. And it matters in so many ways. So if we go and trace back just this morning what we've talked about, the idea is to reposition what we think marketing is. Look at it differently. Just see it as a process that is within your business. So everyone's got their hands on it somehow. But if we can see it as a visible thing and draw it, we can start to show where people are involved. So it helps everyone get that buy-in. But it really matters. Because it's all about, we want to influence, don't we, future stakeholders in your business. whether that's your team, investors, whatever that may be. We want to be able to sell ideas, don't we? Really? So if you're in your organization and you're the one coming up with ideas, then you're going to want to sell those ideas to your team. So actually, that's why we're asking you to position marketing in this way, because actually if you are that person in an organization and part of your remit is to sell those ideas to your team, what you're doing is you're marketing your ideas to your team. So you follow it, it's that process, isn't it? This is why I'm saying if we only ever position marketing as an email or a website, then we're not placing it in your lap as something that can actually help you in your role. So this is why it's important. So if we lock on with it, it kind of helps us move forward. We can see that success piece. And it really does. It strengthens, it motivates, it engages, but it all stays aligned with business vision and values. So obviously, I don't know each of you individually, but I'm surmising that you're in organizations and you're having to come up with these ideas and you're looking, you're developing, it's exciting, but it'll all be in line with the business you work for and the goals of the business. And everyone in that organization is involved in that one way or another. And marketing has a responsibility to play a key role in that. So you've got to be aligned with the marketing outbound strategy when coming up with ideas. And if we're asking you to consider the idea of marketing as an open process in business, you also need to capture the feelings, don't you, of those that you want on side. So again, it's part of that R&D and that development, isn't it? So again, it's just this repositioning. So we need to use marketing differently. We need to use that. Use it as a tool to help you. See it as that process there that's just waiting for you to get hold of it differently. It really is supportive, because if you use it in that way and you're coming up with ideas, what you're doing is a bit of a psychology thing. You're almost taking your idea even further forward because you're using the marketing process. You see what I mean? You're actually really presenting like not a fait accompli, but nearly, because you're taking people on that longer journey, so well aligned to the business. So I think that's a great sales tool for you if that's what you're doing. So use marketing differently. Use it as something to help you. Think about it as people, knowledge, movement, process, and performance. And these are things that we'd like to ask you to consider today. And I know we've kind of whizzed along through a little bit, but again, if this has opened up some space for thinking, that's great. So you might say, okay, so how am I going to do that? You said some stuff there, Mags, so how am I doing this? Okay, we just ask you to consider designing plans using those 4 key areas that we talked about, those knowledge areas, communication choices, what you know about your prospect community and what you know about your current client community. Just asking you to consider the knowledge, just knowledge. You know this, or you can find it out. So I'm not asking you to step out of a comfort zone. This is just literally, that's what I'm asking you to do. That's okay. Then any activities you do from there, again, connect it to that knowledge. And if you're developing ideas, but you can see those routes ahead, that I think will help your idea development. And those clear goals are really important, but you can invite the team to be involved. I think the hidden gem in all of this is research. We are huge fans of that. And that for me is the biggest lock on between kind of what we might perceive to be marketing and operations. It's research, without a doubt. And I think market research doesn't get enough credit. So I'm just flying the flag for that, because that massively supports development, doesn't it? And marketing has a job to play in that. So work with your marketing teams if you're not in that role and find out what research can be done to support innovation and new product development. Marketing has a role to play in that and needs to be positioned well to do that. Keep joining the dots, basically. Join those 4 dots is what we're asking. Join the 4 dots. And it's a straightforward system, but it works and it's powerful. And explore frameworks to help you. There's more than ours out there, but equally look at ways and routes to help, but consider marketing differently. So thank you. I have taken you on a little bit of a whiz along journey there. But as ideas people, I thought it'd be okay. So I just want to say thank you so much for the invitation to come and join you this morning. And, we have loved being with you. Thank you so much. And, as you can maybe tell, we're very ideas led. We love that. And we love creating space for innovation. And I hope you've got some things to take back from today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mags. And I think you're open to questions too, aren't you? So
Absolutely.
if anyone's got any questions, you're welcome to either put your hand up or type it into chat. Certainly for me, I know how critical marketing is. And I think some of the things that really resonated with me is about it not being a one-off event, but it being connected, starting with the business outcome. What are we trying to achieve? And what are we trying to achieve for the business? So that's selling the reason for people to get involved and selling the benefit of our potential solution if we want funding or we want that behavior change. It's kind of knowing what you want and having the confidence to do it and make that choice as well. And I love the bit about connecting with your current community, the people who are already kind of bought in and engaged and know and understand, also connecting with that future community too, doing your research and knowing your audience. So has anybody got any questions for Mags related to marketing? Mags, I've got one for you. If we could do one thing to get us started towards delivering, I guess, more success for our innovation programs using marketing, what would that one thing be?
The one thing, I think
step?
the first step, what I would have said is, and I know it's the first step, but it is 4 things. So the first step is to just look at what knowledge you've got in those 4 areas, to be honest, and what you know. Because one of the first things that would come from that is actually you might see you've got a gap. We're all about getting rid of gaps.
Nice.
Because so I think it's looking at that first of all and having some clarity on what you know and what you actually would like to achieve. And I think that is the first step, definitely.
And I know you mentioned a few tools, but obviously AI didn't exist much a couple of years ago, and now it's all over the place. So how do you think AI has influenced the way we go about the channels we use for marketing?
Interesting, because like you said, there's been so much development on that. And actually, I was speaking to an AI expert recently, and I loved what she said to me. And it was really refreshing because she trains all over the world in AI and said to me, the thing is, it's not going to replace people. So this was an AI expert telling me this. She said, but it's about people learning how best to use it. And I think this is the other thing. A lot of people will say it's like you get out what you put in. And where she does a lot of training and development is how for people to know what to ask, what to put in, how to phrase it, how to use the tools effectively to get the best outcome and still then human sense check it, because it comes back to that brand and tone. So I would actually say, even I'm going to be really honest, even myself, where I was a bit like, oh, I don't know, really, not sure. Even I've embraced it more because I see that it's a tool to help, not necessarily replace. It just means we'll do things differently. But if anything, it's helping people sharpen their pencil.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think it actually pushes people, it pushes a bit of progress. And I think it's good in that way.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's all about reframing as well, because being on the sales side of an organization historically, marketing was a bit the other side of the organization. If we did well, it was sales. If we did badly, it was marketing. And probably not the way it should be. So the joined up connectivity. But I guess for a lot of people online involved in innovation and ideas management, you're not necessarily in sales or marketing. So actually having some of these skills and not just saying, well, the comms team can do it, but upskilling ourselves to talk about the why and the how and the what and the benefits that ideas will bring. are so critical to getting that funding and, as I say, the change of behaviour potentially required from those
Absolutely.
resulting innovations.
I think that's right. And just on that, Zena, I think as well, we've come a lot across this a lot recently, which is impact and measurement. And people talk about ROI. And I just want to touch on that, especially if people are going for funding and this and that and the other. You know, your sales and marketing is crucial, but it's your internal processes and it's that measurement and impact. Because people say, how do you measure marketing effectiveness? And I'm going all out here on a bit of a limb, but I'm going all out to say, analytics exist, don't they? Digital analytics exist, and they're great for tracking that impact of digital activities. When it comes to human input, we can surely only track the effectiveness of human input by time. Because if we are humans putting input into something, we are spending time on something. So hence why, another massive reason why we have developed a performance-led framework that's built on outcomes for business. It can align the time you spend on the outcomes you need for business. So it's a bit like there's nowhere to hide and clear accountability. So on the call today, some people may go back to their teams and be inquisitive, ask questions. Because do you know what? If ideas need to come to life and people need to get funding and ideas need to happen, we've got to call it out, haven't we? So let's have clear accountability and tracking on what activity is going on to support the success of a business and how is that planned, tracked and measured? Where's the impact happening? Because surely that will help future.
Fabulous. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Mags.
Very
So
much.
we have
Thank you.
had a couple of questions through actually. How do you stay motivated and inspired to move forward in our marketing journey on an individual level? So as an individual who might get a lot of roadblocks, and let's be honest, we get lots of failures within innovation as well as lots of success and lots of barriers to overcome. How do you stay motivated and inspired to keep moving forward?
Purpose. I don't have to even hesitate.
Nice.
Because you know why? And thank you so much to whoever asked that question. So we have a tech product, okay? So I'm speaking to you today because I've lived it. So I've lived product development, and I'm not going to say failure, but then it's not too bad. We can say failure, but I'm just going to live real life. So we have a tech product and we had challenges and we had hurdles, okay? And we had to maneuver, shift a bit, you know, this and that to get further forward. But because I didn't have any, I kept my purpose in my mind, I just was able to maneuver, but using my own, ironically, using my own process. I'm going to hold my hands up and be really honest. There was a few months where myself and my colleague were going, oh, God, scratching heads. Oh. And then we went, are we actually using our own process properly? Whoa, hey, game changer. So all I would say is purpose. Without a doubt.
I think that's a great answer. Know and understand your why. And if it aligns with your values personally as well, I think you probably can't go far wrong. So absolutely.
Right. Be prepared to sidestep, but don't, you know, lose sight of what your
Don't
ambition
give
is.
up. Thank you. That was from Hanan Mady Court. So another question, and we'll make this our final question. In the age of AI, human inputs are restricted due to accessibility and ever-changing behavior. So do you think that marketing would have a difficult path in the future?
Sorry, difficult or different?
Difficult.
Difficult. Yeah, I think actually, I'm going to be honest, I think as a process, yeah, it probably does actually. And I think this comes down to, I'm full of P's, by the way, and not the marketing 4 P's that most people will think of. Because I think this one is down to perception. Yeah, actually, it probably does. It shouldn't, but it probably just by human nature, because if we continue to have mixed perceptions of what it is in the first place, we're just continuing on a track where I think it's gonna get more difficult. So there's quite a big job to do in the repositioning of the process, if that makes sense, because otherwise we're in a very busy, cluttered world, aren't we? With tech, with developments, which is great, brilliant, but we've got to level up. Or if we still think it's this perception of marketing is someone doing a poster for a coffee morning, and I quote that because that's generally what someone said once, we're never going to see it as it's there to help us. So I think so AI needs to become part of that, embrace it. The process has got to go forward, embracing change. But that can only happen if people see it that way. So it's perception. So yes, I think it will be difficult. So there's 2 jobs to do, probably.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to stop the recording there.